Welcome to Sonic Mania. Oh, I have looked forward to playing this game. I was waiting for over a year when it was announced at the 25th anniversary livestream and that was an interesting livestream of how many problems it had. But I was so looking forward to this game. It was a game built by fans like Christian Whitehead, Headcanon, Pagoda West, for fans. And so I love it to death. And I knew I was going to enjoy it before I got it, and I do, and I'm so glad I get to play it. And I get to play it live, which I haven't been able to do for a while because Bloodborne and Uncharted 2 both ended up being post-commentary. Well, since I just get to sit back, have a bit of fun, and play my way through it, as the Phantom Ruby gets kidnapped by these generic robots. That, because of the effects of the Phantom Ruby, they stop becoming generic robots. They become the new bad guys in town, that we'll see in a sec. The hard-boiled heavies. Except the hard-boiled heavy you don't really fight normally unless you're playing as Knuckles. If you're playing the normal story with Sonic like I'm going to be doing here, you don't fight the leader normally, so yeah, unfortunately. I will be getting all the Chaos Emeralds, well at least I hope so. I'm playing this live and I'm only doing one run through of it. So if I end up not getting them, well I'll just get them all off screen or something, but I know where some of the giant rings are, and I like the new special stage enough that I want to do them. Which means this first part might end up being quite long. There's 12 zones in the game, so I thought I'll do 3 zones apart to keep it nice and short. And they give the premise of idea of what you're getting into if you haven't brought Sonic Mania or you're not sure. It's a deliberate classic revival to feel like Sonic 4, essentially. To feel like a Sonic game if there was a Sonic game for the Sega Saturn, which unfortunately there wasn't back in the day. Other than Sonic Jan, which was just a HD remake. But anyway, they spent the time to deliberately make it feel like a Saturn game, just everything running at a smooth 60 frames, depending on how YouTube renders it. You'll be able to tell or not, but it is running at a smooth 60, trust me. The way the special stage works in the new ones, it's great. It's a mixture of several things. You're collecting the blue orb, similar to the blue orb from Sonic 3, to get faster, to catch up to a UFO, the UFO being from Sonic CD, to try and catch the Chaos Emerald. You can collect rings to extend your time, similar to Knuckles Chaotix, that one forgotten game on the 32X that most people don't even realise exists nowadays. And I love the special stages because they're hard, but they're not brutal. Like there's a few that might take you a couple tries, but you can get them kind of comfortably and still have Supersonic by the end of the game, even on your first run. I know I did on my blind run, and I've already done 3 runs of this game, one as Sonic, one as Tails, and one as Knuckles. But you can tell, like, even though they make references and inspiration, and you can tell it's a love letter to the whole series, the gameplay focus feels more in line with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, in sense that the levels are huge. Well, I'd say the levels are the biggest in the 2D series, but the levels are a lot bigger than they used to be, and there's a lot more layers to them, there's a lot more exploration. It encourages exploration while still trying to find the fastest route, like Sonic 3, and that's why I love Sonic 3 so much, because you could take it so many different ways. We massacre this mini-boss, and just like Sonic 3, oh, I wasn't quick enough. I was gonna say, just like Sonic 3, you could knock the signpost if I wasn't quick enough, so I wasn't sure where it was coming from. And if you knock it and it lands in certain spots, items will come up from the ground like Sonic 3 as well. The way, unfortunately, well I say unfortunately, I don't mind it too much. There's more classic than new zones in this. There's only 4 new zones, or 8 of them are remastered. 1 from Sonic 1, 2 from Sonic 2, 2 from CD, and 3 from Sonic and Knuckles. And then the rest being new. But even then, they managed to take these old zones and completely reimagine them in a way I never thought possible. Green Hill, after 26 years now, feels fresh and new again. And I never thought that was going to be a thing. But they somehow managed it. And the way they sort of keep it up for most, if not every classic zone, is that they'll have one act that's more in line for what you know, and then the second act will be more new stuff and added extra gimmicks to sort of spice it up. Like with Green Hill Zone, these zip ladders, as I use Tails to help me get up here. You don't need a second controller to take control of Tails anymore. If you hold up when you do your jump, when you press it again, Tails will automatically start flying, so you don't need a second controller to fly you to get you around, like I just did there. And it's good to be back into Let's Playing, to be honest. I have missed it a bit, but I was just so burnt out, and I'm glad that I waited for Sonic Mania to come out, because I can't get over it enough how much I love this game. And it bums me out when I look at all the reviews, and almost every reviewer under the sun's like, oh, it's a classic good one because all the 3D ones are terrible, and I just think that's a load of rubbish. Yeah, a lot of them aren't, there's a few of them that aren't brilliant, but when you think about the main series, like the spin-offs, well, the spin-offs I'll happily see the argument of that some of them are quite awful, but the main series, the adventure games were great minus lip syncing. The games they were fine, they worked on, they were fun to play as, and I always loved going back to them. And they had a killer soundtrack, so they were good. Sonic Heroes, although I had problems with it, it was a good game, and it's many people's favourite in the series. And there was nothing necessarily wrong with it, unless you played the PS2 version, which had some loading time issues. But the actual game itself, especially if you played it on GameCube, or I think they released it on PC in the end as well, I can't remember. It was great. Shadow the Hedgehog, I'd say it's the main series, because it continues sort of the overarching plot. The game was boring, but the mechanics were fine. And so to say that's terrible is kind of because it was boring, but it was nothing mechanically bad with it. 06 was bad, but then everyone knows that, let's be honest. It's what happens when Sega says it needs to be out for the 15th anniversary, and Sonic Team were like, that's not gonna happen. And Tails just went into this bonus room. I'm not going to be doing the bonus rooms because as much as I was so happy to see Blue Sphere coming back, I don't want to roll that dice if I get a god-awful one, because I've already done them all. So that means once you do all of them, it puts all the ones you haven't got perfect back in rotation. Then when you perfect them all of them, it puts all of them back in the rotation. So I don't want to get one of the crap ones. But yeah, so it took them from when Sonic Adventure came out in '99 to 2006 to make one solid bad game. Secret Rings, yeah, people could say it's a spin-off, but I thought it was alright. It was an on-a-rails game, so it was kind of awkward at points, because any on-a-rail game's awkward at points, but the game worked, mechanics were fine. Unleashed, a lot of people don't like the Werehog stages, which I never really got. I really enjoyed the Werehog stages, and and even if you didn't like it yourself, no one can deny the day stages were great fun. They were such an adrenaline thrill ride when you go at breakneck speeds and then have to quickly make that sharp decisions as they come along of where to jump, where to go, and how to react to keep with the momentum of the game. And it was such a blast to speedrun as well. And so Unleashed I always thought was brilliant. Black Knight personally I didn't like. I found it kind of weak, but it was mechanically sound, similar to Shadow the Hedgehog, where the mechanics were fine, I just found it kind of meh. So that's not necessarily bad. Colours, everyone liked Colours. The only criticism Colours ever got was that it was too short. Which, yeah, because you could get it done in like 3 hours and 6 hours to 100% it. Generations is many people's favourite Sonic game. It was a masterpiece in its own class of embracing the classic while still being new. Lost World was okay, because you could tell it was an experiment and they were still trying to test the water with a bunch of new ideas to see what goes on, and it wasn't too bad. The Boom Trilogy, yeah, the Boom Trilogy were god-awful, but they were also spin-offs, so you can make that argument again. So, up until Forces and Mania this year, the main series hasn't had a bad run, and I think a lot of the reputation for why Sonic gets so poorly is, well, a big factor to do with the spin-offs, because Sonic Free Riders, no one's escaping that catastrophe. Sonic Free Riders was hilariously bad, it's not even, ugh. And like Sonic Labyrinth I think it was on the Game Gear, everyone likes to forget about that one as well. But I think a lot of it has to do with people like IGN, because IGN will, look at them, IGN many times have openly admitted they don't like Sonic and are extremely unprofessional about it. Instead of having debates, they will have rants about how terrible Sonic is, and will refer to Sonic 06 and say, "I see Sonic 06 is proof that this series is terrible, and there was never a good game," which doesn't make sense when you realise IGN has reviewed several Sonic games really high scores, including Pocket Adventure, that got a 10 out of 10. So either the reviews are lying, or the company's lying. But then I don't like IGN anyway for various other reasons, like the poor Kingdom Hearts fans. But then that leads for not only the general public to just believe it because people say it, the general ignorance that happens, but other popular YouTubers to like it as well, and believe that as well. So it ends up expanding. As much, and it's like, to make an example, as much as I love the Game Grumps, and I think they're brilliant and hilarious and a nice, break of pace with how nonchalant they are of everything, yet they still just have a bit of a giggle with it. Especially Aaron, as much as I love him to death, you can tell they don't like Sonic, and a lot of the times they'll play a game, like Black Knight's a perfect example. They start it up and there was a point where Aaron goes, "Oh yeah, this game sucks," and then goes, "How come?" And Aaron will say, "Oh, it's because I heard it sucks," and so he assumed it. And that's what I mean. Like I said, I mean nothing against the Game Grumps. I think they're great, and if you, for some bizarre reason, have lived under a rock and don't know who they are, go check them out. They're amazing. But they kind of prove my point to an extent. I'll always be open for arguments. That a lot of Sonic's hate, unfortunately, drives from major companies like IGN bad-mouthing it because they just don't like it, and then other famous people like Game Grumps or a few others that I just can't think of off the top of my head saying it, so the general public just kind of go, oh, so everyone says it sucks, it must suck then. When they don't. If you play them, a lot of them are really solid. I said the spin-offs are a lot more hit and miss, like Free Riders, Labyrinth, Chronicles, where there's a lot of mediocres and some just plain bad games. But if you look at the main series, there's a lot of really solid ones, and I love a lot of them. And I'm not just trying to say that they're good in some weird biased mindset of defending it, because I know everyone's entitled to opinions, and a lot of people say Shadow the Hedgehog's bad, and yeah, I can see the argument why. I just find it boring, but mechanically it's fine. But I'll stop with that rant. But I'm still a lover of Sonic. I just wish the reviews wouldn't jump on board the bandwagon of Sonic's been terrible since the 2D Inception, so I'm glad they went back, because it's just not true. As we work our way through Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2, which, unpopular opinion, this isn't my favourite zone. My favourite zone is actually Mystic Cave from Sonic 2, and they didn't remix it, which was a bit disappointing, but I didn't mind because they remixed my favourite zone, Oil Ocean, instead. And they've also got the Combine Ring from Knuckles Chaotix as well, which I really thought they wouldn't reference Knuckles Chaotix, and they do it twice. And if they're similar to Green Hill, the first act is a lot more in line with what we know from Chemical Plant, but when we eventually defeat this mini-boss that I'm having an arse of an effort with. Ow. There we go. Act 2 becomes a lot more original and embraces new elements. And I can play the game so, like, nonchalantly whilst having my rant, because I know I've spent time on this game now, and I love it too much to not know what I'm doing. But first, I love the remixes. I love this entire soundtrack. T-Lopes his music's legendary. Which is a shame because I didn't know who he was before Sonic Mania, and I know he had a lot of hardcore fans before it, and I feel kind of bad that I didn't know a lot of his music. But his music's amazing, and he really takes it into his own with this game. And so all the praise to T-Lopes for what he's done for this soundtrack, especially the new tracks. Like, Press Garden Act 2. I don't think there's a person alive who hasn't enjoyed Press Garden Act 2. Oh yeah, the nice little DNA strands as well. Don't forget those guys. At least it's not bad as Metropolis. I was glad they didn't bring Metropolis back. If I had to do with the Trilogy of Death again, right. And then it's up next, yeah. I like that there's the momentum of Chemical Plant still here, though. There's tubes and things like that around, but he's still moving at stupid paces to keep the ball rolling. And I like that they have the bounce pads as well. That they decided to make their unique gimmick for this, the bounce pads from Wacky Workbench and CD. Even though I despise Wacky Workbench from Sonic CD because of the bounce pads, but they handle it in a lot better way here. So I felt it came off quite nice. But seriously, if they ever do more with Sonic Mania, whether it's DLC or anything like that, and they bring back Wacky Workbench, I'm not going to be happy. But then they also brought back Metallic Madness, and I hated that zone as well. And they somehow managed to make it good, so I can't really contest anything against them. Oh, I managed to get that. I really should be more on the lookout for the big rings. I'm just kind of going through it now. Knuckles' path on the right there. Oh. If you're like decent or played a good amount of the classic Sonic games, you'll find you'll get a lot of lives in this very quickly. I know I did. My main file with Sonic's got like 50 lives now. Here it is. It's up here. I remember now. I knew there was one nearby. If you go left, yep, you can see it kind of goes up into the ceiling. So if you follow it along, it will lead to a big ring. I've seen a video online. I think there's like 60 in this game. I can't remember where a lot of them are, but it said it was like 60 plus, and I was like, bloody hell. Alright, what one's this one? Oh, this one's not too bad. I know this one. 5 and 6 are the only ones that give me trouble. And the reason why I say 5 and 6 and not 7, even though 7's the last one, so it should be the hardest. 7, kind of feels like just more of what you already know. 5 and 6 test you in new ways as you go. Like, oh, this one's got bombs, for example. Like, they always add new things. But 7 just feels like an expansion of what you already know. And so if you beat 5 and 6, you'll beat 7 in your first couple attempts. I've never failed it without. I don't want to brag too much, but I beat it on my first attempt in every run. 7's not that bad, especially if you know the shortcuts there, which the shortcut's painfully obvious. You'll see just a giant group of spikes in the corner and go, hang on a minute, if you realise it's a shortcut. Oh, my throat. Why is it my throat is never good when I go to record? It's perfectly fine, and the moment I go to record it just goes to hell. Is it because I'm talking so much it just dies? Yeah. And it's also weird because I'm used to the DIMP Sonic game, like the Advanced Trilogy, Rush Adventure, and so I'm used to the purple Chaos Emerald being Emerald 7. Whilst this, they've gone for the classic lineup of the Chaos Emerald order. Ow. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, I managed to get it. I always worry when I hit a spike, I look at the rings, it's 10 rings you lose every time. That's 10 seconds just... Oh, I didn't mean to hit the mic. Just gone every time you do that. But yeah, the purple emerald's number 4, not number 7. I'm used to it being like red, blue, yellow, green, grey, light blue, purple. That was like the DIMPS order they always had. And don't ask why I know that. I played a lot of Sonic Advance. So, Sonic Advance 1 was great. It was, before Mania came along, it was the true Sonic 4. But I think Mania's kind of stolen that merit of being the real Sonic 4 now. And what the... That's another thing I didn't expect them to reference. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Or, if you've never played Mean Machine, you'll recognise it says Puyo Puyo. And I'm not that great at Puyo Puyo, to be honest. I only played it through Mean Bean Machine, but I did beat Mean Bean Machine, so I know what I'm doing. And I have managed to get the trophy for setting up a triple combo, which is a lot easier than you think. You have enough time to do it, and Eggman's terrible. Eggman plays like he's against level 1, which I'm glad that they did that. Like, I was worried that they was going to try and make it hard, like elements of Mean Bean Machine, but they deliberately made it quite easy for people that... excuse me. For people that aren't Mean Bean Machine fans. Which is fair enough. I keep on saying Mean Bean... It's Puyo Puyo, but it's just... You know it's more of a nod to Mean Bean Machine because Puyo Puyo did a contract with Sega for it. It's still weird, but it's nice. And that was like the most intense theme for a Puyo Puyo minigame ever. Seriously. Like, calm it down, T-Lopes. As we get another double. I can find myself easily humming across most of the soundtrack, so I need to stop because that's not commentary. Hey, oh, Eggman, you're not doing so good. I just glanced over. He's nearly done. I should do him. Yeah. But if you lose this, it is a life. You'll drop down there, and it counts as a bottomless pit. So don't lose. Get decent. But after 2 classic zones and getting more points, I think that's enough for an extra life. Oh no. And the original, that would have been enough for an extra life, I think. In the original 3, but now you have to get 100,000, I think. We can head off to the first new zone. The beautiful Reference Hill Studiopolis. Seriously, if you've been a Sonic fan or just a Sega fan in general for the past, even the past 10 years, you'll notice a lot of references. This place is filled to the brim. Like, there's the Sega Sonic popcorn machine, which I find that hilarious. There's the Sonic shop. There's the eggnog. There's all sorts. Or in Act 2, this one can be a little tough, by the way. Emerald 5 can be a little tough because you have to think which route you want to take. And these ramps on the side, the way I handle the special stages, I go for the blue orb first, I go for broke very quickly to try and get as fast as possible, and then worry about the rings later. But I will go out of my way to at least get the ring capsules. It's just the main rings, unless they're right in my way, I won't bother. But those ones I'm going to leave. But this ring capsule, I'm going to get. I'm always going to go to blue orbs until I hit Mark 3, and then I'll just worry about rings and get on with it. And I kind of recommend the same if you're following along, but be prepared because this one is the one where you will probably run out of time if you're still getting used to it, because it gets a bit hectic. Anyway, one of the references ever, it made me laugh so much when I saw it because it was so well done. They have a reference where it just says Genesis does, and if you know any of the old adverts back when Sega Genesis or Sega Mega Drive, as we in the UK know it, one of the main slogans was Genesis does what Nintendo don't. And I shouldn't have gone that way, I was talking too much. Oh no, I'm gonna need some rings. There we go. See, this is why you leave the rings for later, so then when you're in a panic you can get them. No, I mean, they have so many little references and things like that, and just like when you beat, like, spoilers for the Act 2 boss of the zone, when you beat it, there's a buzzing sound playing in the background, and it's the same buzzing sound that the live stream where this game was revealed was playing the whole way through. Because the live stream was a bit of a clusterfuck and it had this really obnoxious buzzing throughout the entirety of it, so they deliberately put it in the boss at the end of this act as one more nod to, yeah, we know. And I love it. It's so filled to the brim with stupid but brilliant references that anyone who's been a fan for a while will just sit there and go, ah, nice one, Christian Whitehead. And I want to say Taxman as if not Taxman, Headcanon. Taxman's the dude who runs Headcanon. I want to say that Headcanon's a company, but when I read up on it, it sounds like it's just Taxman, so I'm never sure. But I'm glad Headcanon had their fair share in it, because they also fixed Sonic 1. No, I don't mean Sonic 1, I mean Sonic 1, the Game Boy version. The Sonic Genesis, I think it's called. Because I've never played it, so I can't vouch for its quality. Okay, there must be a Springer over here then. Oh yeah, there is. I lost my train of thought. The Sonic Genesis, what they did with it originally is because Sega were kind of just, they didn't really care because it was the 15th anniversary, and let's be honest, Sonic 06 came out the same year, so we already know they weren't particularly fussed. The way they did it is that they based it off the Advanced engine. An Advanced engine works for Advanced but doesn't work for Genesis engine or Genesis machine. And so the game was extremely laggy, had horrible momentum. And I just realised we've taken the death path. That's a bottomless pit below me, as Tails nicely proved. Anyway, I'm rambling so much. I don't mean to. I love this game. I can't help it. I'll be the same if they ever take Persona 5 off record block. But I love this game. I've lost my trail of thought again. Instead, Sonic Genesis, because they based off the Advanced engine, Advanced was built on its own engine to work with what they were making with. Whilst, as the motorbike goes past to interrupt me again. Go on. Hopefully it's not too loud on the mic, as I get interrupted again. Well, Sonic Genesis, if it was made on the original engine, or a reworked version of the original engine, it would work perfectly fine on the Game Boy Advance, but they were just lazy and they didn't do it. And so the game was horrible, whilst Taxman went out of his way to actually show what would happen if you did put effort into it, make your own engine, and make it work alright. There's a Sega Sonic popcorn shop, but then, like I said, I've never played it. I've only ever played the original Sonic one, because I like good games. But I'm also the guy who likes Final Fantasy 13, so I can't really say much when I say that. And I like also as well that there's elements of Studiopolis that they altered from the original reveal to now, just to keep people guessing. Or just for the better. There's a few elements, like that one bit I was just at where it launched me from the TV and I had to go on the little platform that was moving. That was the only way up to the next section in the original build from what I could see. Whilst now there's multiple ways of getting there, so they helped use it to expand as well. And here's the 6th. Don't just race along it like normal, take the spring, because the spring will give you just enough momentum. This one I think's the hardest one. This is the only time I'll stay bother with the rings up here in the first wave. Afterwards, just jump over the ramps, don't bother with the rings. But just for this first bit, get a few of them. Because this one's just annoying. Because if you notice, there's a few barriers that just vanish in places. Which is deliberate, because they're hoping that you'll run straight off it, which if you do that, it's an instant fail. There's no generosity of, oops, we'll put you back on, that it just fails you instantly. It's also why they put bombs right near the edge, because if you get hit by a bomb, you can't control yourself for a while, so they're hoping that you'll be too close to the edge, hit it, and then just roll up straight off, because they're evil. Or let's see that there's bombs on the side there, and it goes straight off this corner here. They want you to fall off at this point. Or take risks by jumping over pits. Like that. But you have to play it risky to win this one, and that's why I find this one's hard, because this one you have to play risk. Not the board game, even though I've never really got into it, because the only time I did play it, everyone decided that it was like rule of thumb that whoever's a new guy has to lose miserably, and that was the only game of risk I ever played, so I never really got to play it again. But now I've hit Mark 3, I can concentrate a bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking for a second. Get my concentration. Hit that. I should have jumped that. That was too risky. I should have jumped that. I think I can make it. Oh, come on. Come on, get closer. If you jump, you slow down. But then the weirdest thing is, if you jump sideways, as you can sort of see that you gain momentum jumping sideways. And I can't remember what the YouTuber was called, but there was a dude that discovered that you can actually get all the chaos symbols at Mark 1 by constantly going left, right, left, right, left, right as you jump and getting the extra momentum from it, which I thought was ridiculous, but you can do it. And that's Chaos Emerald 7. Thankfully. Wait, no, 6 even, not 7. But I'm glad I got the hardest one out of the way. Now, hopefully I'll be able to just get some momentum back up and... Oh no, actually, because it's the same spring to get momentum. It is. There has to be a way on the other side then. Oh, yep, there is. Eggnog in the background. Oh, there's an enemy there. Oh, I didn't spot him. I spotted him just a tad too late to react. But, oh, there's an item. Oh, it's another invincibility block. They just give these things out like candy. Bloody hell. No, I want to use the spring. Let's go. Whee! And just like the classics, red springs are a lot stronger than the yellow springs. But there's also blue springs in this as well, which they're ice springs, which they only exist in Press Garden Act 2. But they're cool as well. And here's our first hard-boiled heavy. I think it's called Heavy Gunner. And this one's quite a simple fight. You pay attention to the missiles and you just roll into the not pointy one. So you ignore those two, like Tails just doesn't. And you roll. Oh fuck. Roll. I rolled too late. There we go. But I pressed down too late even, because I didn't even roll. And every time you knock one back, the heavy gunner will try and move out the way until he can't anymore. Which for some reason is when his minions are gone. Despite the fact his eyes will still flash knowing that he can see it, he just won't move out the way. As more missiles come. Also, if you look at the order they come in, you'll know what order they're coming at you. Like right now, the blue one's going to be last. Whilst in the next order, which they won't appear, it should be second. Also, the hardboiled heavies theme, it sounds like something out of Jet Set Radio. I can't be the only one that thinks that. It sounds like something straight out of the best of Jet Set Radio, which makes me so happy, because I love Jet Set Radio's soundtrack. Same reason why I love Sonic Rush's soundtrack, because Sonic Rush's soundtrack was made by the same people that did Jet Set Radio's soundtrack, and you can hear it, and it's so... it's just so good. I feel like I'm going to be like talking too much about my love for this game throughout the 4 parts of this. Well, I say it should be 4 parts because I'm doing 3 zones and there's 12 zones. Because I want to do at least 1 new zone per act, and that's when I was like, yeah, it'd be per part even. So I thought, it'd be better to do it 3 zones apart then instead of 2. Even though 2 would have been better for length, but who doesn't enjoy a half an hour of me rambling about how much I love Sonic? We've still got another act to go. We might be able to get Super Sonic this part actually, because I know where a couple of the big rings are in Act 2. There's one if you're paying attention. All you have to do is pay attention, and there's a point where you'll land on a collapsing platform, and if you just react fast enough and know it's there, you can work your way up and work your way towards it, so it's fine. And the other one is a bit more advanced, and I've only ever gotten up there once, and that was with Tails, so that doesn't really count because I just flew up there. But here, jump up. There you go. We're not at the ring yet, 'cause you have to do it a couple more times. Like there. There we go. Nope, it's around here. We'll take it slow. Oh no, I know where I'm going actually. Jump here, and I think... yeah, there it is. Number 7. Right, number 7 I've never failed, so... and now I've said it live on camera, I'm going to fail it this time, you know. But, let's see. This one's just not too bad. All you need to do is be aware of the shortcut, and just know that everything that M5 and 6 would have taught you applies here, just as a little more. Because there's pits everywhere. So just be wary. Whatever strategy you have, whether it's my strategy of focusing on the blue orbs first, or whether you whether to just drag it out or whatever, just use it because you'll find your way through at this point. It's not too bad. Here, this spike bit on the side, just go right, and there you go, there's your shortcut, and you keep up with the emerald. If you go the other way, firstly, the other way is far more dangerous because you go on some really thin paths, and it's longer, so it'll put you really far behind it. And if you take the longer route more than once, I don't think you'll ever catch up to the emerald, to be honest, because you'll be too far behind. Whilst as right now, I can catch it at Mach 2 for goodness sake. I'm gonna get the extra boost just to be safe. But yeah, look, we got it. Right, I'm gonna try, keyword try, to use Supersonic as little as possible, because because Supersonic, like the classics, breaks the game in two. But activating it is just pressing the jump button again in midair, and the drop dash, the new ability to this that I love using, is the same button input. And so I've got to try and fight the resist to do that. And right above me is the sign where if you flick it, it says Genesis does. But a lot of people say the drop dash, I didn't really notice it, I didn't think it was that really make much of a difference. And as much as I agree, like everywhere you can get the drop dash, you might as well just use the spin dash, because everyone knows what the spin dash is. Hold down, press the jump button, there you go. But the drop dash, I've grew accustomed to over time. Like after going through several run-throughs of this game, I've just grew to just using it. As they have, the sound effect is a reference to Sonic Advance as well, I think. Here's the other one. If you want to get the other run, oh, there goes my chance to get Supersonic, and then Tails just ruins it. You got a badnik bounce off the top of them, going along to the end to take the other route, which is like to the left on your side of the wall. You can't really see it, unfortunately. And eventually that'll lead you to where the other one is. Sorry, I'm just taking in the soundtrack again. I originally thought this one would take you to M2 as well, but no, it just takes you up to this machine. Fun fact, if you want loads and loads of lives or loads of rings or whatever, never let go of right, because those with bumper bounces on the side will bounce you straight back into this machine infinitely. And there's another lotto gamble machine thing like this, but the other one's got an Eggman chance in it, so there's a chance you can lose all your rings instead. So in this one you might as well just go to this one, hold right, and just keep on getting as many lives as you want, if you want them. Just pay attention to your timer on it as well though, don't go overboard. And I like how the sound effects are remixed of Sonic 3's. Because Sonic 3 was my childhood favourite one, and it was a bit of history, the very first video game I ever played when I was a wee lad. When I was like 3 years old, I think. No, I was 2 actually. I was 2 because I remember, because I got it for Christmas. I remember it very clearly. Because I watched the Sonic TV show and I really wanted the Sonic game when I was really little. And it's funny, it was Sonic 3, and I was like, yeah, I want it, and we kind of managed to get it, and I loved it. This boss is quite interesting, even though you can kind of break it, because where Eggman's like bobbing up and down, every time he bobs down you can actually hit him if you like, from the very tip of your jump, like that. As the wind comes in again. Right. I think you're supposed to wait, but I'm just impatient, so I always just get the hit and take the damage. But I think you're supposed to wait until the wind's about to die and then jump up. The sun ones are easy, just stand beneath Eggman and let the heat will go everywhere but where you are. If you stand in the heat, it counts as one giant hitbox. It won't drain wings, it will just take them. It will just damage you, as we hit 599 degrees apparently. Now, this is what I was on about earlier. You can hear the little dude. You'll be able to hear it better when I hit the thing. But anyway, I've rambled enough. Thank you for paying attention, and I'm back to do Let's Plays. Don't know how long or how much, but I'm here anyway. Just wanted to hear that buzz. And I'll see you guys next time, where the flying battery returns. Dun dun dun. A level I hated when I was a kid, but loved.